everyone can just give me a type just so they could hear me. Otherwise, we would have checked. Oh, someone's typing. Perfect. Thank you. So we'll just wait a few more minutes for a few more people, and we'll start promptly at 2:30. But this is recorded as well, so if anyone wants to catch up on it later or visit our YouTube channel, that's absolutely fine. Hope everyone's well and keeping safe. A few familiar faces in the guests. Simon, I see you there. Hello, Manoj. Looks like we've got people from all over the world, which is encouraging, as we normally do, which is brilliant. This is actually the third of our webinar series and the first webinar of that new series. So hopefully everyone enjoys it like they did the last few that we've done. Just going to give it till 2 more minutes and then we'll get going. If anyone has any questions, we will be answering some at the end. Okay, 1 more minute, then we'll get going. Okay, so let's get going. So like I said, this is the third of our webinar series to date. And this webinar we're going to do today is on why are we still struggling to deliver projects in time? So this is an issue that probably everyone faces in construction industry. I'd like to start by just thanking everyone for joining us today and for those who've joined us on previous webinars. So this is basically the series overview. So today's webinar, like I just said, is on why are we still struggling to deliver projects in time. Then in 3 weeks' time, because we'll do them every 3 weeks, we're going to talk about top-down or bottom-up approach. So we find that a lot of our contractors either do top-down or bottom-up or a mixture of the both. So we'll discuss what the benefits of each and which are kind of best for each contractor kind of thing. Then we're going to talk about change management and how we deal with constant revisions and constant changes on construction projects. Then after that session, it's going to be BIM Utopia and the biggest gap between technology potential and realized benefits. Then we're going to go to M, stands for management in BIM. So when people discuss BIM, they often talk about kind of the 3D modeling side of things, but the management aspect is just as important, if not more. Then we're going to discuss LBIM, so that's Lean BIM Information Management. So that kind of integration between Lean and BIM. which leads us on to finally the importance of integration management. Now, all of our webinars are recorded and they're all going to be on our website, which is VisiLean.com/webinar. And you can also register, which I strongly recommend, for the future webinars. So let's start at kind of doing a bit of a review of kind of construction at the moment. So just 25% of projects come within 10% of their original deadlines. Now, in terms of delays, that's a huge, huge cost. And especially with COVID at the moment, margins and profits are very tight. So we can't afford to keep having these kind of delays. Only 31% of all projects came within 10% of their budget in the past 3 years. Again, being able to price in for that risk and minimize any sort of issues there is huge. 30% of work performed by contractors is actually rework. So again, I keep stressing, when profits are so tight, to having to do 30% of your work as rework is a huge cost and a huge area where you can improve efficiency and reduce delays and costs. 82% of owners feel they need more collaboration with their contractors. And that's something where we see all the time, where all of the stakeholders, clients, they want more kind of interaction with their contractors. And the bottom stat, which I think is probably the most alarming, is there has only been a 1% increase in annual productivity in the last 20 years. If you imagine how much technology and software and computing has improved over the last 20 years, and we've actually only improved productivity by 1%. I mean, there's things now like drones, AI, robots, and we've actually only improved by 1%. That's kind of alarming. There's so much more potential for us to improve productivity using all these fantastic resources. So issues facing the construction process. We'll start with the designers. So the designers, amongst other issues, are dealing with various different BIM models from loads of different disciplines. Models and other designs are not integrated. People are working in their silos, so they're working independently. Not everyone actually has access to these models. The models aren't reaching the people on site who probably need them to manage progress and visualization. Then we've got the project managers who are dealing with master plans from head office, which are unrealistic. They've just been thrown down a load of activities that they're supposed to get done, but the people who made that plan aren't aware of the problems facing that site or the difficulties. Then you've got site teams who are using various different instruments like paper, Excel, whiteboards, pen and emails, loads of different things, phone calls, sit-down meetings. They've got loads of different information in loads of different places. And all of that together leads to the people on site, the foreman and the workmen, having no clarity on the work they're doing or on the progress reporting. So to address those issues, being able to adopt BIM and go digital is a huge one. But only 55% of construction companies have actually adopted BIM. Okay, and of that 55%, I would assume the majority or a lot of them are using BIM just as a tick exercise to say they've got BIM. But are those models and is that BIM strategy being passed down to the people actually doing the work on site, the people that need the BIM probably the most? I'm not so sure. And then another alarming statistic is 95% of all data captured in construction and engineering industry goes unused. So we see this all the time. There's so much good data being collected on projects that we go and visit, but are people actually using that data correctly? Are they using it to improve performance? Probably not in most cases. So why are we still struggling to deliver projects in time? Firstly, there's a lack of work clarity. So the people doing the work aren't necessarily sure exactly what they need to execute, when they need to execute it, the exact materials, equipment they need, things like that. There's poor collaboration. So we're not integrating the design phase through to construction. So a lot of that kind of rework we spoke about earlier is through poor collaboration because not everyone was involved from an early stage, and we're kind of picking up the pieces and seeing errors later on, or we're not involving all the stakeholders or the people downstream that are going to have the next activity. And that's causing really poor collaboration, which is causing issues. Then there's inaccurate data. And we find in construction at the moment, a lot of people are using Excel, or the majority of people use Excel really heavily. And by the time you've filled out an Excel sheet and sent it to someone, it's often out of date. So if you're using inaccurate data, it's very hard for you to execute works correctly and for you to improve performance. And another huge one, which I just kind of touched upon earlier, is that there's limited visual review. So fantastic, we've got all these great models and revisions and things like that, but not everyone has access to those. Not everyone is a Revit expert or knows how to navigate through a model. The people on site who are actually doing the work don't necessarily have access to these visual tools. And it's much more powerful to visually look at something than to look at numbers and things like that. If you've got a much more visual way of understanding progress, you've got a much better understanding. So to kind of tackle these issues and to try and get works delivered on time, we need to change when necessary. So you need to adopt the right technology. Now, like I said, there's so much technology out there at the moment with robots, drones, softwares, apps, different things like that. But you need to find the right tech for your company, for your project, for your team, to address the issues that you're facing. So it's very important to involve your team, get everyone in the room, or virtually now because of the new normal, and understand where you need this technology or what you need help with the most. Then it's important to invest in learning. So keep learning, keep understanding new tools and new practices, because in the construction industry over the last 20 years, there has been so much change in terms of new ways of doing things, new materials, new tech and things like that. So you've constantly got to keep on top of things to improve performance. And then very importantly, you've got to replace ad hoc decision making. So don't just make decisions reactively. You want to do things proactively. You want to sit down with everyone. You want to come up with long-term plans, especially when you're looking to adopt a new strategy or implement something new. So get everyone involved and thoroughly map out the process of how you want to do it. Don't just, because what we find is when people make ad hoc decisions, they tend to kind of, if they don't go well, they tend to revert back to the old way of doing things. So if you've got a long-term strategy of doing something, you're more likely to stick with it and make sure it's a success. So have clarity, communicate, and build trust. So it's important when trying to deliver a project to communicate and have clarity. So have clarity on the work that needs to be done, what is needed, and what are the potential risks. So it's very important to sit down and map, and this could be on a project level, could be package level, or it could be activity level. But it's very important to have clarity. And this may sound simple, but make the job site ready. So I'm not talking about setting up kind of welfare units and stuff at the beginning of a project, but make each activity ready. And we don't see this enough when we go to clients and go to new projects. That sit down, go through your look ahead programs and make each activity for the following week, the week after that, ready. Go and check materials, people, space, everything's good to go. Only once that's done can that activity start. Now, if there is an issue, hopefully you found it at this kind of make ready stage and you can sort it out before it becomes a big issue and causes a delay. And then really simply, and again, you probably think this is too simple, but identify key contacts. So for each activity, for each package, for each project, make sure you know the key contacts for everything, because you don't want to waste time chasing the wrong person or sending the information to the wrong person or trying to get information from someone who doesn't know the answer. You want to identify the key contact and be able to pass information immediately and get problems resolved, and that will reduce delays. Communication. Now, communication isn't bad on purpose, but on big projects, there's so many different platforms and things and ways of doing things that communication just kind of goes badly at times. So we've got people communicating through emails, WhatsApp, phone calls, Excel sheets, live documents, different platforms. We want to reduce that and have everyone communicate on the same platform. If someone's not in one day, I don't want to have to be chasing them for their emails or I can't find their WhatsApps or whatever. You want to be able to log in and see all of the communication, all of the handovers, all of the information you need on one platform. And that will allow you to immediately resolve any issues because you've got all of the information at hand. You know that key contact we just spoke about, and between you and all the teams, you can resolve issues before they become big issues and cause a delay. And then building trust is really important, especially when you're adopting a new technology, a new platform, a cultural change, because immediately they're going to think this is something that they're going to be scrutinized by, and that's not the case. So stop the blame game and make sure everyone's aware of why we're doing this, because we want to improve your performance. We want to improve our performance. We want to continuously improve. Okay. And then again, knowing the right people to involve. Okay. You don't want to involve the people that are going to give you fight back originally. You want to make sure you've got your processes correctly, and then you can adopt the process more efficiently. Then provide the right information. So you've got the right software, you've got the right technology, you've got the right person, and then provide the right information at the right time with all the information they need. There's nothing worse than when someone has to come back and chase because they haven't had certain details about a location or specifications or materials. So make sure you're providing the right information, and that will reduce any sort of waste in terms of time and effort. So collaborate, integrate, and improve transparency. So collaboration is key, and we've moved away from the old way of doing things when the big boss up top will just tell people what to do. Now everyone's involved because everyone's got a stake in this project, in the company, and things like that, and everyone wants to get the best possible product for the client. So it's very important to integrate design and construction. Now, optimized design reduces rework and helps improve efficiency. So, like we said earlier, 30% of work contractors are doing is rework. If we can collaborate with the design phase, with the construction phase, then we're going to have a lot less need for that rework because we're going to reduce any errors that might occur. Then it's important to collaborate with all the stakeholders, and importantly, early engagement. So let's not just focus on the activity we're doing today. Let's bring in the people who are doing the activities next week or working in that area tomorrow and just get their input and understanding. And if they're not even giving any input, at least they're seeing the way you're doing something on that day in that location, so they know the full history when they go to start their work. And then it's time to be transparent. So like I said, we're not hiding our spreadsheets anymore. We're not keeping our programs and our models to ourselves. The more transparent we can be, the less issues we'll have. And if we do have an issue, we'll be able to resolve them more efficiently. Location-based planning and tracking. So that leads us on to kind of come out with realistic schedules. So we've mapped out a kind of a quick process that we find works the best for us, and that might be different to how it works for everyone else, but everyone works differently. So we'd kind of review your program, map your constraints, commit to activities and tasks, clarify handovers, and then go and execute work. So that's our kind of workflow of how we would execute a construction project. Okay. Then on top of that, you can add location-based planning. So let's add another layer to that. So, okay, we reviewed everything, we've mapped everything, we've clarified the handovers. Now let's be more specific in terms of location-based planning. And that will allow us to see, okay, are there too many people working on apartment 402, for example? We've got 5 trades in there. Is that efficient? But we've got no one on level 27 doing apartment 307, for example. Location-based planning allows us to be much more efficient and accurate with our executions and see where the kind of bottlenecks occur. And then when you're doing your kind of collaboration and planning, make sure you're integrating all the stakeholders and making realistic workflows. So getting everyone on board and getting them to commit to something realistic will give you a much more accurate execution plan, okay? Rather than just throwing a load of activities down the line and making sure people do them. That's not going to be realistic. People will need change and come up with their own way of doing things. So being able to collaborate will give you much more realistic schedules. So it's really important to simplify your workflows and reduce manual input. Now, this is something I see all the time. You get really senior managers on construction projects and in the design phase as well, um, spending hours manually updating spreadsheets or sending out emails or chasing people. Now, these are senior level people on high salaries, and they must spend thousands of hours, man hours on a project like that, doing that kind of manual data entry. So if we can reduce that, that is a direct cost saving. An hourly rate is being saved from manual data entry and freeing them up to go and execute construction works, go and manage their teams. We don't want to pay someone a lot of money to go update a spreadsheet. Anyone can do that. They want to be free to go update that. So they want to go be free to manage the construction project. So that's why a digital tool like VisiLean, which automates everything, is so important to reduce costs and delays, because these managers aren't going to be sitting down spending hours updating spreadsheets and generating reports. VisiLean and will do that for them. So it's important to have informed decision making, but to have that informed decision making, you need the right data driven designs. And that will ensure kind of minimal errors and any reworks on site. It's important to standardize safety and quality protocols, but it's also important to standardize most procedures on a project so that things become habit and people become comfortable with these procedures, so that they become second nature and they can just go and execute things without everything being changed all the time. And then again, just important to reduce that kind of manual admin that we see all the time on construction projects. If we can automate this workflow and make it second nature, then again, we will reduce delays and kind of execute projects on time rather than have any delays. So it's important to stay connected to the site and act at the right time. So we find a lot of issues where we go around the world to different contractors, different projects. There's delayed status tracking. So people aren't getting the right information at the right time. And one person on the project's idea of progress could be different from someone else. And we see that all the time because someone's using a spreadsheet that's not up to date, or someone hasn't sent the right information, or someone has chased someone or told them they've done this activity. So we want to eradicate that completely and have everyone working off the same platform, hopefully VisiLean, and being able to get the information at the right time, and all of the information not being drip fed bit by bit. So they have to keep chasing and they can't actually execute the work because they haven't got everything they need. We give people live access to the project, so access to the project in real time. So not a spreadsheet that's out of date or someone's email from a month ago that they haven't sent to me. So they've got access at any time in real time. And using this, they can provide live updates to all of the teams. So, okay, using VisiLean as an example, someone on site presses stop on their activity because they've got an issue. So the foundation has to stop because the drill stopped working, for example. They press stop on the app. That alerts everyone in the VisiLean software that's connected to that part of the project, or the project managers or anyone, and everyone is aware of that issue and they've got the full information there. They can even send a picture. So they haven't had to chase anyone without actually picking up a phone or speaking to anyone. Communication has improved, and no one's had to manually send an email or make a phone call because they've just pressed a button on an app. Okay, so we've reduced a lot of time and a lot of delays there and a lot of issues before they become big issues. And we've sped up that whole process of getting that information to everyone so we can act immediately and get things fixed. Collect, measure, analyze, control, improve continuously. So performance measuring is hugely important. And I'm talking even short term, so day by day, small bits of performance we can improve. I'm talking packages. Can we improve how we deliver packages? I'm talking the life cycle of a whole project. Then I'm talking how we can improve from a company point of view onto future projects. If we take that statistic we spoke about earlier, that 95% of data in construction goes unused, there is so much room for improvement. Even if we could improve that by 10%, We're talking on hundreds of millions of pounds worth of projects, huge savings, okay? But it's important that we get the right data. Okay, so you want to use data to check the kind of status of your project, or we call it the health status. And that allows you, if you've got the right data and it's accurate, to take informed decisions and be able to analyze performance. Data can be used to continuously improve, and that's something, if you've listened to any of our other webinars, I always go on about. It's important to continuously improve and not just say, okay, we've done this well, that's fine, let's do the same thing next time. No, that's not the way. There is constant ways of improving and continuous ways. And being able to measure performance and data gives you kind of a much truer picture of the project status. So being able to get the right information with accurate data being reported from site in real time will immediately help you deliver projects on time and to budget. So the solution, it sounds simple. Basically, it's an integrated lean BIM approach, but it's not as simple as it seems. Going digital alone will not work. You need to have the right people and processes with the right technology to be able to make it work. And we've done a webinar on this before, so you can go check that one out. But you could have the most expensive, best software, the best digital tools in the world, but if you haven't got the right people that are willing to adapt and change their culture, the right process to help them change their culture, and the right technology to kind of facilitate it all, then it's not going to work. Okay. But once you've got those all aligned, then it's time to look at kind of how we can get more lean. How can we reduce any sort of waste a bit further in terms of time, effort? Where can we really kind of maximize our efficiency and become better at what we do? But you can't adopt those lean processes until you've got everything aligned. And then once you've got them all together, then you can really streamline and get things going. So this is just an example of kind of the 4 pillars of VisiLean, the way in which we tackle the issues and help deliver projects on time. So we've got collaboration through our digital, it's called our scheduler view, which is basically digital sticky notes on the wall. And the idea behind that is we get all the stakeholders involved. Everyone sits in a room or sits digitally or on a Zoom call, however, and they do commitment-based planning. So if I had a sticky note that says foundations, then we drag and drop that to the person who's doing the foundations, and they agree that they're okay to do that on that time, in that place. If they need more detail, they can break it down a bit further, create new activities. But it's just that tool to facilitate collaboration. Then we've got mobility through our mobile app. So this is separate to the VisiLean software. The app is just for updating activities assigned to you. So someone's out on site and they start their activity, they press start. That alerts everyone in the software that activity started. If they have an issue, they press stop and it asks for the reason why. But the idea behind having a mobile app to do this is we're not relying on someone to go back to their desk and send an email or update a spreadsheet. They just need to press 2 to 3 buttons and everyone is aware of exactly what's happening. So we've improved that communication and collaboration without actually speaking to each other, which is vital. We touched upon visualization earlier, but again, it's very important, and I don't think utilized enough in construction, how people use visualization. So we've got visualization in a number of ways through 3D and 4D models, as well as different color codes. So I know if an activity is red, it means it stops. It's a very visual way of understanding things. And people find it much easier to digest visually than they would kind of data. So if an activity stopped, we allow people the ability to upload a photo to that activity to show a reason why it stopped or to give someone a better understanding. And it's a much better way for people to understand progress is if they can visualize things like that. And then everyone's going to be sick of me mentioning the word performance and continuously improving performance, but it is important. We've got a dashboard that's completely automated that generates reports automatically without anyone having to manually input anything, because it's directly linked to those people using the mobile app on site. So 5 people on site stop an activity, or each stop their own activities. our dashboard will give you that data that they've stopped and give you the reasons why. So we can use that to improve performance. We can start to see if there's any trends. Then we can start to predict trends. And then we can continuously improve and try and get these projects delivered on time and go on to the next project with this data in hand so that we can improve. The benefits of kind of this digital kind of integrated collaborated approach can be huge. Now, automatically you're getting better collaboration and you're getting better communication without even really trying, and that on its own will help deliver projects on time and within budget. You're getting real-time data, which is unheard of in the past in construction industry, because having a real-time spreadsheet just doesn't really exist, even if you are sharing one on a platform, because you're relying on people to manually input that information. The information is at hand at all times, so you don't have to go home and not be able to think about what's happening at work or whatever. If you do want to switch off, that's completely up to you. But I know a lot of contractors and project managers that use that time to be able to plan for the next few weeks or days or whatever. So you need that information at hand all the time. Handovers are one of the main reasons projects get delayed, because there's no clarity in handovers. People are chasing information. Using our platform, our handovers are seamless, and we send push notifications to make sure there's a real kind of to minimize any sort of latency in the handovers as well. Also, the data we provide allows for an extensive drill down analysis. So you can really kind of continuously improve at a micro or macro level, however you want to do it. But just the data is there, and we will show you how you can really utilize that data to improve performance, whether that might be getting the best out of a certain package or subcontractor or employee or location. Either way, the data is available to improve now. And again, progress visualization with our 4D modeling, our drill down approach, our interactive charts, our color codes will help improve performance on projects and improve efficiency throughout. This is the £1 million question, which I'm sure a lot of you have asked before or been asked by other people, and we get asked this all the time. Where should you begin? Like I've said before, there's immense scope for digitalization. So there is drones, robots, AI, kind of augmented reality. There is loads and loads of different things at the moment. But like I said before, it's important to sit down with your team, with your contractors, your subbies, your stakeholders, and find out where you're coming up short or where you think you need help the most. And that's where I'd start. Start small with something you know you're going to be able to adopt. Like even if it's just the case of bringing in some screens into the office to review reports to begin with, so everyone's got access to those, or to be able to view models. Start small and then slowly work your way up as you become more comfortable. And we can be there to help with that kind of integration. But it's essential to begin somewhere. So don't keep putting off, oh, okay, maybe we haven't got the right team, or the supply chain's not right, or this isn't the right project. Just start. And worst case scenario, you at least get data to think, okay, that wasn't the right project, but we have another one coming up, which is a bit different. This could work. Okay. And then, like I said before, and it'll be a key theme in any webinar VisiLean does, it's important to collaborate with your team and understand your issues. Keep reviewing the status of your projects. Keep reviewing your team's feedback of how they think this went or what didn't go so well, and use that to go forward and improve. And everyone is going to be sick to death of me saying improve performance, but there is so much we can improve on projects, especially those large 2-year, 3-year, multi-million-pound projects, but even on smaller things as well. There is so much room to improve. And in construction, where profit margins are so tight, if we can make these small wins and improve efficiency and things like that, we can save money and survive. And then after we've survived, we can actually excel and thrive and get bigger. So this is just a summary that we always kind of share with VisiLean. So it's important to digitalize, collaborate, commit to work, review progress, and then finally you can deliver projects on time and to budget and make money. So that is everything. If anyone has any questions, I'll invite some of the VisiLean team to answer some. But I appreciate everyone taking their time on so close to Christmas to join this webinar. If anyone has any questions, feel free to type them in the chat box. In the meantime, I'll serenade you all with a song. No, I'm joking. I won't put you to that. But if anyone has, oh, someone's typing. This will be recorded as well, so if anyone wants to catch up on it or send it to someone or anything like that, it will be all on our website and our YouTube channel. So, got a question from Yogi. Do you think giving equal importance to hazard management during the collaborative sessions can help in reducing delays in project delivery? Yeah, I completely agree. I think you need to give importance to sort of hazard management and constraints at any stage of a project to help reduce delays. So the earlier you can kind of map these constraints and identify these hazards, the better it will be, and the less impact they will have on the construction project. So yeah, it's really important. I think that's kind of people don't really map hazards and constraints as well as they should. It's more of a kind of a reactive thing in construction at the moment where, oh God, this didn't work out. Why didn't it work out? Well, actually, you could think, okay, we need to do this activity. What could go wrong? What could stop this from happening? And then ideally, you've identified that issue before it's happened, and then there's no delay. So yes, I agree with you. Any other questions? Oh, our Q&A mode is now enabled. So if anyone wants to type one, we can put it up on the screen. Okay. Anyone got any other questions? During infrastructure projects, the delays are caused by political motivations. What are your thoughts on it? Yeah, I mean, with big infrastructure projects, there's loads of different stakeholders. And I'm not just talking about the people actually delivering the works, but there's so many more wider political, environmental, different projects like that. Yes, those are going to cause issues, and there's nothing you can really do about that. But I mean, I'm just using VisiLean as an example here. If you're identifying those issues and kind of giving that reason why that you stopped this activity, or why this activity is late, or why the project's been slowed down because of it, then you can arm yourself with that data going forward onto the next project and say, okay, we want to deliver this, but we had this, and this issue, which was out of our control. Can we improve this going forward next time? But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, unfortunately, that's just the nature of the beast when you're delivering those big infrastructure projects, that the way the kind of political movements move so quickly, and the cycle of political parties and manifestos change so rapidly, that unfortunately it's going to cause problems. Sometimes the project is longer than the actual political party in power. So obviously that's going to cause some sort of issues. How can we capture the causes for delays? Very good question. So we've set up in VisiLean a few kind of prerequisites. So if someone has an issue, we've set up a few prerequisites they have to tick to say the reason what their issue is. So for example, if I stopped an activity, a box would pop up and it will say, okay, materials, space, constraint, and I'd have to tick one of those reasons. So we map that out And every time someone ticks one of those reasons, we collect that data and we start to see if there's any trends and things like that. Also, we encourage people to leave notes when they're stopping activities or they're facing issues to really give more detail. And again, that's all stored in our platform on the activity. So if anyone has a handover, they can view all of that information going forward. So there's quite a few different ways to map the causes, but we've got a few predefined ways just for us to predict trends or see any trends. But there's a load more detail we can go into with that depending on the client and what they want us to map for them, because they might have different categories for their delays. We also have constraint logging on VisiLean. So on an activity or before an activity started or during or after, you can map constraints. And again, you can predefine categories based on your company. No problem, Manoj. I'm glad you enjoyed that. Please join the next one. If anyone has any more questions, if not, that's pretty much all from us. So thank you all for joining so close to Christmas again. And if anyone needs anything, they've got my email address or they can get in touch. Oh, Nandan, how the project financials can be tackled in each stage of the activities. How does budget change will impact your way of working? So, I mean, there's a few different ways of doing this. We're not a kind of costing solution, but we do have ways of capturing that kind of data. And it all depends kind of how you work yourself. I might open this one up. I might not be the best person to answer this to someone in VisiLean. So if Paramjeet or someone else from the team might want to answer this one, because I might not be the best person.
Okay.
Yes.
Wonderful. Nandan, how the project financials can be tackled in each stage of the activities. The idea is that I think the most important part is, and I think that's something that Seb's already stated, and even when we're talking about that whole political sort of impact question, the idea is that there are so many other issues also prevalent in your projects that basically need to be taken care of. And in those smaller ways, when you can take those sort of issues at hand, you're actually handling a lot of the mess that you can take care of, beforehand itself, leaving the bigger sort of problems to be taken care of at certain stages to focus on those. So basically, how the project financials can be tackled is when you're following sort of sorting out things in these terms, and you're actually taking care of most of the waste in your processes on a day-to-day basis, you will have more focus on your project financials. And when you're actually collaborating with your teams over your phase plans, you will have a defined sort of budget to look at for each phase. And at each stage, you can actually have a realistic review. So a lot of times what happens is that you're getting a review back after a month or more than a month, because you just don't know what's the status of your project. So if that information is coming to you live, you can actually take proactive decisions to make sure that your financials are also in check. End of the day, this all ties up. All the waste that you'll basically be minimizing on site is going to tie up to your financials for the project. Budget changes will impact your way in terms of your project delivery as well. But then again, the whole idea is to make informed decision making. So the fact that the information and the data is available to you in real time, and sort of the fact that you can actually capture and harness it, is the only way you can make sure that your budgets are also in check.
Thank you, Paramjeet. So that looks like it from now. So thank you again for everyone who's joined us, and we'll be doing the next one in probably 3 weeks' time, but we'll be sending out some information about that. So thanks everyone for joining us. See everyone soon.